We begin with our interview segment and meet one of the members of the Kansas City Star's editorial board. Melinda Hinneberger joined the Star in January 2017. She has written for some of the nation's most prestigious news organizations, including The Washington Post, New York Times, Dallas Morning News, and most recently USA Today. Melinda Hinneberger, welcome to Ruckus. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks so much for having me.
So you've had an obviously successful career on the East Coast. What prompted this move to Kansas City a couple of years ago?
Well, I'm from the Midwest, and my husband's first job was here in Kansas City at the Star, and we were ready to come back. As my dad used to say, I'm so glad you're coming back to America.
Are you pretty happy that you came back?
We are.
Enjoy living in Kansas City?
We are.
We're still talking about and trying to understand what exactly happened with the midterm elections. You wrote about that recently, and I think it's fair to say you suggested the more things change, the more they seem to stay the same.
Well, I just thought that the voters sent very mixed messages, and there's nothing particularly unusual about that. But it was funny to me that, for example, Missouri overwhelmingly chose Josh Hawley and yet voted against some of his main positions. Voters also went for an increase in the minimum wage, which Josh Hawley opposed. They went for Clean Missouri, which Josh Hawley opposed. So you really do wonder, love the guy, not his positions.
And you point out in Kansas that we have a new Democratic governor, but a still Republican legislator, and perhaps, according to the reports I've read, a more conservative legislature than the one that it replaces.
Yes, so it will be interesting to see how she's able to work, of course, with that more conservative group.
The editorial board endorsed a number of candidates, and there was an interesting process to decide who got the endorsements. What did the process look like?
It's actually a lot of fun. I enjoy our process every day because we really don't all think the same way and kick ideas around and have a very respectful but invigorating sometimes discussion about it. For the endorsements, we had as many candidates. We invited everybody to come in. Not everybody did come in, and we did make the decision that we couldn't endorse people who didn't want to come in and participate
who
in the process.
Who didn't come in? Do you recall? Did Kobach come in?
Kobach did not come in. No, we would have loved to have had him in. And then there were these sometimes long courtships that never went anywhere, you know, where someone says, I'm coming in, I'm coming in, I'm coming in, never happens.
And so, these were people from both political parties and those who ran as independent candidates?
We invited, of course, everyone to come in. Those who did not come in, I think, were all Republicans.
It seems, from what I read, that most of the endorsements did go to Democrats.
Well, if only the Democrats come in, and we're only endorsing people who come in, then it was funny to me that since that was announced from the get-go that there was criticism that we only announced.
Why do you suppose they wouldn't come in? Do you think they were fearful, or they thought it was pointless, or what would be the rationale?
I honestly don't know, especially in the cases of people who said they were and then didn't make good on that promise. I don't know whether they thought it was better in this time of calling the press enemies of the people and, you know, these are the most disgusting people we've ever been around, whether it was a selling point for them not to get the, you know, not to have anything to do.
They're better not to be endorsed by the Star.
I do not know the answer. You would have to ask them.
We have a mayor's race coming up in Kansas City in a relatively few months. No incumbent mayor this time around. Going to be watching that pretty closely? Very
closely, yes. In fact, I have already been to a couple of the debates. It's an interesting group of people.
And a lot of people.
Yes.
and interestingly enough, the one guy that when he entered the race, almost everyone who speculates said this is the guy, he's going to win, and he pulled out for medical purposes with good reason.
Yes.
So now I don't know that anyone could be considered the front runner.
No, Jason Kander did so much good by doing what he did and by sending the message that there's no shame in that and that it's very important to take care of your medical problem first. But it's really a great group from I've seen the debates I've seen, I would like there to be fewer of them, just because it's hard to have an interesting debate when you have so many people to hear from.
Harder for the media to cover too when you've got so many people in a primary.
And a lot of areas of agreement.
I'm going to have to stop there. Thank you very much for coming in. I hope you'll come back and talk to us another time.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. That is Kansas City Star editorial board member Melinda Hinneberger. Now let's meet the panel and start a ruckus.